If we don't step in, we will lose our children. We will be sacrificing our future.
That's Akua Sarpong. She's one of the founding members and executive director of Lifeline for Childhood Cancer. They raise funds for the treatment and care of children with cancer in Ghana. Their story is next on St. Jude Around the World. I'm Suheir Rasul, and I have the privilege of serving as a senior vice president for ALSAC, the fundraising and awareness organization for St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. As part of the St. Jude Global Mission, we collaborate with nonprofit organizations worldwide to fight against pediatric cancer and other catastrophic diseases. This podcast brings you real stories of the life-saving work of our St. Jude Global Alliance partners. More than 32 million people live in the small country of Ghana on the African continent. It's estimated that 1,200 children develop cancer each year in Ghana, with only 500 receiving treatment. That's because there are only 3 medical centers in the country with a few dozen beds that treat pediatric cancer. And that's partly due to the fact many people don't really understand that cancer can be diagnosed in children. It's more understood as an adult disease that is never talked about. Akua Sarpong from Ghana leads Lifeline for Childhood Cancer, and even she did not know cancer can impact children at first.
So for a country where education is limited, literacy is low, healthcare is difficult to access, cancer is a huge affair. Even for the frontline health workers, still do not even understand what the early warning symptoms and signs are. So we have a huge number of cases where children are misdiagnosed because your first point of call is not trained in identifying cancer.
Diagnosing the disease is difficult for many reasons, and explaining it is also very difficult because there is no word in the vocabulary. There isn't a direct translation for the word cancer in any of the 70 or so dialects in Ghana.
So, yeah. Where do you start? Where do you end in trying to find a definition in 70 different dialects? Would say Yarebone. Yarebone is a bad disease. And that's the closest you can come to in describing it. Yarebone, bad disease.
Describing it is not the only hurdle. Traditional, cultural, and religious beliefs are also a barrier to pediatric cancer treatment and awareness in Ghana.
We have very strong traditional beliefs. We have very strong family systems. We still believe in our myths. We still have a lot of taboos around diseases. Childhood cancer is really not spoken about. It's a taboo. We still have to work very hard to demystify childhood cancer. So even for a child who gets cancer, the parents do not want to say it, do not want the family members to know, do not want the community in which they live in to know.
Like so many cultures around the world, the shame and the fear of the disease forces many to keep the diagnosis a secret, isolating the families from getting the support they need, which often leads to worse outcomes for patients, including death.
Because of the myth and the belief system, that is why we have such low survival rates. Because normally, if a parent hears that their child have cancer, they'll convince themselves the child will die anyway. So let's just take the child home. It is not the devil that gives you cancer. It's not a death sentence. If you do get cancer, it is curable.
Akua, unfortunately, deeply understands these barriers and how they can affect a family dealing with pediatric cancer. She lived that journey as a mother with her daughter. At the age of 1, her daughter became lethargic and stopped eating. When she took her child to the doctor told Akua she must be teething.
And I believed it. who am I not to believe what the doctor is telling me, right?
But it wasn't teething. Her daughter's condition worsened. Her stomach began to bulge, and once again back to the doctor's office. And the doctor believed it was gas or constipation. But to be safe, ordered an ultrasound, even though that was not part of the normal practice.
I remember the radiologist telling me, oh, there's a lump, a mass in her stomach. So I went back after the radiologist. I went back to the pediatrician to show the reports, and she said, oh gosh, your child had cancer. What? Your child has cancer? Oh, you should go to the hospital immediately. Like, slow down. My child is supposed to have constipation or gas, according to you. How does it go from constipation to cancer? I mean, I was traumatized.
Akua explained how overwhelmed she was and said everything was such a blur. But she didn't take her daughter home to keep the diagnosis a secret like many young mothers do. She took her daughter straight to the hospital, where she learned her daughter had rhabdomyosarcoma, a cancer of the soft tissue.
So we did the first cycle of the treatment, and it had gotten so bad. It almost felt like we had awoken something in her body, because it was just a small tummy. In fact, if you looked closely, you wouldn't even see anything different. But after the first cycle, her tummy had just grown so big. Rhabdo is cruel. Rhabdomyosarcoma is cruel. It eats you up. It takes everything away from you. So for a beautiful, bubbly, 1-year-old child, beautiful hair, suddenly she's looking like a 90-year-old woman. It was just bones and just a big stomach. It was really scary.
Despite the fear, Akua wasn't going to give up hope. She was fortunate to be able to look for treatment outside of Ghana, and so they flew to South Africa.
And because the tumor was so large, we needed 3 months. We had to do chemotherapy continuously, I don't know, about 12 cycles or 15, I lost count, to be able to shrink the tumor. Because they couldn't even detect where the tumor was originating from. It just kind of covered all the organs. So they needed to shrink it so not to sacrifice any of her organs. So after 3 months, we did the surgery, and it had shrunk and was localized.
And the surgery was a success. The family returned to Ghana happily. There they continued the routine maintenance treatments. Everything seemed to be going well. Her daughter even started going to preschool. Finally, Akua felt she could breathe again. But then, more bad news.
We're doing the scan just randomly, and my oncologist at the time, she's kind of feeling her stomach, and she has this odd look on her face. Okay, what's going on? And she's shaking her head. I'm saying, no, you don't. Don't even speak. And she had relapsed.
By the time they could travel back to South Africa, the cancer had spread to her lungs. Doctors said her daughter's body wouldn't be strong enough to withstand more treatment.
And so we asked, how long do we have? And said, with some luck, we'll get through Christmas. We'll have a good Christmas. So we carried on. Of course, she's deteriorating slightly. We enjoyed our Christmas, and everything just went downhill. And she passed away in April 28th in 2018. Of course, it's devastating. It's losing your child. It's no easy feat. I mean, it's your life is wrecked. Where do you start from? You have other children. You've got to carry on somehow.
Akua heroically carried on not only for her own family, but for other families she got to know with cancer in Ghana. She thought of other mothers and what they were going through and how they would have the same fears as she did. She also knew how expensive it was to travel outside the country and to get treatment.
I'm thinking, this is such a wrong picture. It doesn't make sense. We keep saying children are our future. We believe in the children. But if you can't support the children who need it at the time they need it, then everything is wrong. So at the time, the pediatric oncology department needed to set up an avenue to be able to receive funding.
Akua decided it was time to do something for the children, and that is what led her to be the co-founder of Lifeline for Childhood Cancer in 2018. Today, Lifeline raises funds to pay for treatment and operates a housing facility with 54 beds for families in need who don't have the means to travel or live near a hospital during treatment.
They come with nothing. They've left their family, they've left their children. And to start the process, they are already drained. They're broke, they're tired. They do not understand what is going on. So it's a very, very painful process, even from the very beginning.
Akua understands the painful process, and that's why she pays special attention to the mothers and provides the kind of emotional support she wishes she had received.
You know, as parents, we blame ourselves a lot. How did we contribute to their child getting cancer? Is it something we should have done? Is it something we did? Is it something we ate? Is it something we didn't do? And we carry that guilt a lot. So even apart from, ensuring that the child gets the treatment that they need, it's very important that someone also worries about the mothers, their mental health, their state of mind. Because when the mother is happy, the child is happy. And the treatment gets better, and we've seen it continuously. When the mother is confused and unsure, the child suffers in so many ways that you don't even realize.
Having a place to stay is just one of those uncertainties many mothers fear. That is why providing housing for the families helps ensure completion of treatment and supports the chances of a child's survival. Lifeline broke ground on a new 40-bed pediatric treatment center, and in order to build that center, the organization has to raise hundreds of thousands of dollars in a country that doesn't even understand the disease. For Akua, she knows she has to push against the cultural barriers every day to make that a reality. She's excited about the future for Lifeline and grateful to do the work that allows her daughter's memory to live on.
She was sweet. She was headstrong. Yes. She was headstrong. She was beautiful. Beautiful. She was beautiful. Yeah, short but very fruitful life. For me, I think I don't want any parent to go through what I went through. If I knew now what I knew then, I would have done things a lot different. I have managed to use the pain, and I think maybe that's where God wanted me to be. To use my pain into making change, into making an impact, into changing lives.
Akua Sarpong has had an impact on many families. She is one of the founding members and executive director of Lifeline for Childhood Cancer in Ghana. The organization has been part of the St. Jude Global Alliance in 2020. Thank you for listening to our story. We hope you enjoyed learning more about our partners in the St. Jude Global Alliance. This episode was produced by Geoffrey Redick. It was edited by Grace Korzekwa Evans and Evelyn Skoda. Recorded by Jason Latshaw. And I'm Suheir Rasul.